Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So, we all love the Faroes, right? But have you ever wondered what's making headlines over there right now? Like, what are the locals buzzing about?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm always curious about that.
Me too. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're diving into the recent communal elections, like straight into the thick of it.
Ooh, the local
You
elections.
know it. We've got some amazing sources to help us paint the picture. Kringvarp Faroe, in.fo, A&D, VP.fo.
Wow, a trifecta of Faroe's news.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, they each bring something different to the table. We've got the big picture from Kringvarp Faroe.
Makes sense, they're the public broadcaster after
All
all.
right. Then we've got those really interesting individual stories from in.fo. Those ones that really grab you.
Yeah, those are always my favorite.
Mine too. And then VP.ro, they're like right there in the action, with photos and everything. It was like, you're practically there.
I love that. That really brings it to life.
Okay, so first stop, Torshavn. That was a
Yeah.
close one, huh? I mean, talk about a nail biter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It went right down to the wire. No one knew who was going to form a coalition until the morning after. In the end, Joda Velde came out on top. Elsa Berg, she got the most votes. A&D, she's the new Borgarstjóri.
Meyer, right?
Yep, exactly. And Hayed Mortensen's her deputy.
It's amazing how much those local elections are like a mini version of national politics, all those coalitions and the power shifts and everything. VP.fur did a great job capturing all that, by the way. They had all these photos from inside the counting hall at Halsey. Like, you could really feel the energy.
Oh, yeah, those photos were great. You know what else I loved from VP.fo? Those shots of the traffic jams and those long lines of people trying to get to the polling stations in Tórshavn.
Because of the weather, right?
Yeah, they said it was because of the bad weather, but it's still pretty amazing, people braving the elements just to vote. Shows how dedicated they are.
For sure. It's
Yeah.
like their way of saying, hey, we want to be a part of this, shaping our community. And speaking of dedication, Toby and Runevik, 9 out of 11 seats. That's huge.
Right. Total landslide victory.
I wonder what it was about him that really resonated with the voters. Was it his platform? Or maybe his leadership style? Or maybe people were just ready for something different?
That's a really good question. I guess we'll have to see what he does now, right? With all that support, he can really make some changes. Especially when it comes to things like infrastructure or social services. But, it makes you think, right, about how these elections are about way more than just who wins. It's about that whole balance between sticking with what you know and moving forward, embracing new ideas. And that's something you see all over the Faroes.
It's true. It's like that tension between tradition and progress. You see it everywhere. Like in Klaksvik, for instance. Folkeflow Kurin won there, right?
Yep, and it looks like Carl Johansson's going to stay on as Borgarstjóri.
So will he keep things the same? Or will he try something new? So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Definitely. And speaking of change, things might be shaking up over in Skopun, too. Margines Davis won there. So Gerhard Lomberg, who's been Borgarstjóri for ages, he might be out.
Wow. Like a whole new era. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's not just Skopun. Over in Sunda Kommuna, Eystein Zachariasen got the most votes. So he might be the next Borgarstjóri there.
It's pretty cool to see all these new faces coming in, right? All these different perspectives.
It really is. It's like a reminder of how important these local elections are. They really shape what these communities are going to be like. And then there's Vestmanna. Sara Jogvansdottir, she got the most votes there.
I read about that. Isn't there a tradition there? Like, whoever gets the most votes usually becomes Borgarstjóri.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll see if they keep with that tradition.
I love all those little local traditions. It's what makes the Faroes so special. But okay, let's talk about some of the bigger themes that came out of these elections. One thing that really struck me was all the talk about women in politics, especially in Sunda and Sjóvar Kommunur.
Oh, yeah, VP.fo had a whole piece about that. They were talking about how both those municipalities had all-female candidate lists.
Yeah, like they were trying to get more women involved in local government, right?
Exactly. And it makes you think, right, did it work? Like, did more women actually vote because of that? And did it attract voters from all different political parties, people who want to see more diversity? I think that's something we'll have to keep an eye on in the future.
For sure. And then in.fo had this article about voter turnout in Hoyvik. Apparently, it was their first polling station in 40 years.
Wow.
And they had a really high turnout, which is awesome. It's like everyone was so excited to finally have a say in their community.
That's so cool. It really makes you realize how important it is for people to have easy access to polling stations, especially in places that are, a little bit more remote.
Yeah, it's all about making sure everyone's voice can be heard. So I guess the big question now is, What happens next? We've got all these new leaders, all this excitement. What does it all mean for the future of the Faroes?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It really does make you think. And while we're talking about potential shakeups, we can't forget about Vagi. Levi Merck, he actually got more votes than the current Borgarsh Shori, even though Listy won in the end.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's got to be a little awkward, right? I mean, what does that mean for the future of leadership there? Could this be like a sign of things to come?
It just goes to show, even in places where things seem pretty settled, you never know what the voters will do. Exactly. And it's not always about who gets the most votes overall either. Sometimes it comes down to those coalitions, who teams up with who. Like in Sturvagur, Ellingsgard, she was the top vote getter, but her list A, totally dominated, like 6 out of 7 seats on the Big Dara. That's the local council, by the way.
Oh, right. I always forget that term.
Yeah.
So it's more about the whole list,
Yeah.
not just one person,
Right.
right? Makes you want to take a closer look at their platform and see what really resonated with people.
Hmm.
And then there's Fugla Fuhrer. Oliver Larson, he had the most votes, but his list A, only got 4 members. Meanwhile, Dover Jewel and List F, they got 3. I wonder how that's going to work out.
Right. Like, who's going to end up with the most power? It shows how even within one tiny municipality, you can have all this political back and forth. It's like a little microcosm of like the whole political world, all about finding ways to work together, even when you don't always agree. Oh, and we can't forget about Skalavik. That one was super close, just 1 vote difference between the 2 lists.
Whoa, are you serious? That's insane. Every single vote really does count, doesn't it? It just shows you these elections can come down to like a handful of people. But, beyond all the drama of who won and who lost, I was really struck by how much these elections were about bigger issues, things that affect the whole country.
Yeah, it's not just about local stuff. Like, take the Familjutenistan, for example. They finally signed that agreement for the National Family Services Agency.
It's a big deal, right?
Definitely. It's going to change a lot for families all over the islands. And then, of course, there's the Suðuroyar Tunnel, that proposed tunnel that would connect Suðuroy to the rest of the archipelago.
Oh, yeah, that's been a hot topic for years.
Right. And people have really strong opinions about it on both sides, like the potential benefits for the economy versus the environmental impact. It's a huge project, and it would cost a ton of money. Even Landsbanken, the national bank, they've been saying, hey, let's be careful here.
They're basically saying, think before you dig.
Pretty much. It just shows you this project is about way more than just local politics. It's about, like, the whole future of the Faroe Islands, how they want to develop, how they want to protect the environment, all of that. Speaking of which, VP.fo had this really interesting article about greenwashing. You know how sometimes political campaigns will, like, talk a big game about the environment, but they don't actually do anything.
Oh, yeah, like they're just trying to look good.
Exactly. And they were saying, hey, how do we know who's actually serious about this stuff? And I think that's a really important point, We have to look beyond the slogans and the promises and really see what these candidates are actually about.
Definitely. We have to hold them accountable. And, while we're talking about voter engagement, we have to mention Hoivik again. That whole thing with the polling station, it's amazing, right? A whole generation that's never voted in their own community.
I know. Makes you wonder, what was it that finally got people out to vote? Like, was it a specific issue or just a general feeling that they wanted things to change?
Yeah, it would be really interesting to know, like, what motivated them. So, okay, big question now. The elections are over. What's next?
That's the question, isn't it? All the campaigning, the voting, it's all done. What happens now?
Well, now all those people we elected, they have to actually do the job, right?
Yeah, it's time to turn those promises into action.
Right. And you know what? This is where local news becomes even more important, I think. Like, it's up to journalists to keep an eye on these officials to make sure they're doing what they said they would do.
It's about keeping them honest,
Right.
And making sure that people's voices are still being heard.
Exactly. Because, in the end, these elections weren't just about picking leaders. They were about deciding what these communities and the whole Faroe Islands are going to be like in the future. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation that needs to keep going, even after the votes are counted. It's really amazing when you think about it. All these local stories, they're all connected to something bigger, something that's happening across the entire Faroe Islands. And speaking of stories, did you see that piece in VP.fo about Andrea Folson?
The one about her 100th birthday.
Yeah. It was so sweet. It's like in the middle of all this election craziness, you've got this beautiful reminder that life just keeps going,
Yeah.
All those everyday moments, the things that really matter.
Totally. And think about it, she's seen so much change in her lifetime. From when the pharaohs were mostly about fishing to now where they're dealing with all these modern issues like globalization and climate change and everything.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Like, it
Yeah.
makes you appreciate how resilient the Faroes people are. And speaking of change, I thought that VP.ho article about integration was really interesting, Vusuvi integration.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
It was all about how important it is to be open and have these conversations about diversity and inclusivity.
And it's not just a Faroes thing, right? It's happening everywhere.
Absolutely. Like, how do you hold on to your own culture while also welcoming new people? It's a tricky balance.
It is. But it's good they're talking about it. And, another sign of progress, all those all-female candidate lists that we were talking about earlier.
Right. Like, VP.fo said it's not about checking boxes or filling quotas.
It's about making sure that women have a voice,
Right.
that they have a chance to shape what happens in their communities.
Exactly. And then, of course, you can't forget about the economy. There are a lot of articles about fish quotas and how some parts of the industry are struggling.
Yeah, that's always a tough issue, isn't it? Trying to balance the need to make a living with, protecting the environment.
Especially in the Faroes, where the ocean is so important. I mean, it's part of their identity, right? So how do you make sure there are fish for everyone now and in the future?
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Faroes elections, what are your biggest takeaways? Like, what really stood out to you?
I think the biggest thing is that the Faroes are in this really interesting time of transition. Like, they're dealing with all these complicated issues, but they're still holding on to who they are?
Yeah, I totally agree. There's this energy there, like anything is possible. And these elections, they're just one part of that story.
And that story is still being written, right? So the question now is, what happens next? What will these new leaders do? How will they shape the future of the Faroes?
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And in the meantime, I'd encourage everyone listening to check out Kringvarp Faroe, in.fo, and vp.fo for yourselves. There's a whole world of fascinating stories waiting to be discovered, and we've only just scratched the surface. So until next time, happy diving.